From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are following at this hour. President Donald Trump abruptly left the Group of Seven summit meeting on Monday, departing a day early as the conflict between Israel and Iran intensified, and the U.S. leader declared that Tehran should be evacuated immediately. World leaders had gathered in Canada with the specific goal of helping to diffuse a series of global pressure points, only to be disrupted by a showdown over Iran's nuclear program that could escalate in dangerous and uncontrollable ways. Israel launched an aerial bombardment campaign against Iran 4 days ago. At the summit, Trump warned that Tehran needs to curb its nuclear program before it's too late. He said Iranian leaders would like to talk, but they had already had 60 days to reach an agreement on their nuclear weapons and failed to do so before the Israeli aerial assault began. They have to make a deal, he said. Asked what it would take for the U.S. to get involved in the conflict militarily, Trump said Monday morning, "I don't want to talk about that." So far, Israel has targeted multiple Iranian nuclear program sites, but has not been able to destroy Iran's Fordo uranium enrichment facility. Meanwhile, at the G7 summit, a Canadian Indigenous leader who greeted world heads of state arriving for the Group of Seven summit says he was filled with rage and considered leaving before Donald Trump arrived, saying the U.S. president has, quote, caused much pain and suffering in the world, end quote. Instead, Stephen Crowchild prayed, consulted with his people's leaders, and ultimately opted to stay on the tarmac for a long conversation with Trump that he hopes will call more attention to promoting peace, protecting clean water, and other issues key to Canada's First Nation peoples. It was really intense, to say the least, Crowchild told the Associated Press on Monday, recalling his lengthy encounter with Trump on Sunday night in Calgary for the G7 in nearby Kananaskis. When I woke up on Father's Day, I didn't anticipate I would be seeing world leaders and one certain individual that has caused much pain, suffering in the world. In Canada, First Nations refers to one of three major legally recognized groups of Aboriginal people. Crowchild, of the Tsuut'ina First Nation, is a Tsuut'ina Iskia, a current elected member of the Tsuut'ina Nation, Xakujaa-yina, and chief and council. In other news, the man shot and killed while participating in the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City was a successful fashion designer and former Project Runway contestant who devoted his life to celebrating artists from the Pacific Islands. Arthur Folasa Alu was killed Saturday night when two men shot at a person allegedly brandishing a rifle at demonstrations, and one accidentally struck Alu in the stomach, authorities said. Alu later died at the hospital. Salt Lake City police said it remained unclear Monday whether the individuals, one of whom identified himself as part of a, quote, peacekeeping team for the protest, were brought in by the event organizers or acted on their own initiative. Arturo Gamboa, 24, never shot the rifle he pointed at protesters, but police arrested him on murder charges and said he created the dangerous situation that led to Alu's death. Police said they were investigating whether the man who shot at Gamboa and fatally hit Alu was justified in firing his gun. He has not been identified publicly. And finally, all 17 experts recently dismissed from a government vaccine advisory panel published an essay on Monday decrying destabilizing decisions made by the U.S. Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that could lead to more preventable disease spread. Kennedy last week announced he would retire the entire panel that guides U.S. vaccine policy. He also quietly removed Dr. Melinda Wharton, the veteran Centers for Disease Control and Prevention official who coordinated the committee's hearings. 2 days later, he named 8 new people to the influential panel. The list included a scientist who who criticized COVID-19 vaccines, a leading critic of pandemic-era lockdowns, and someone who worked with a group widely considered to be a leading source of vaccine misinformation. We are deeply concerned that these destabilizing decisions made without clear rationale may roll back the achievements of U.S. immunization policy, impact people and their access to life-saving vaccines, and ultimately put U.S. families at risk of dangerous and preventable illnesses, the 17 panelists wrote in the Journal of the American Medical Association. That's the news at this hour. If you are watching our videos on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Download the Live 365 app to take PEP Radio with you wherever you go. The Pennsylvania Equality Project's Discrimination Survey 2025 is now open. Visit paequality.com if you live in or have visited Pennsylvania in the last 12 months and think that you have faced discrimination to complete the survey. Up next, we have the weather forecast for the Meadville area here on PEP Radio.